Hello and welcome to ACS Golf and this week's review. I'm looking at this, the Cobra LTDx one length iron. Now, if you've watched my channel before, you will know that I've actually reviewed the LTDx irons last year. These are 2022 clubs, great game improvement irons, a great forgiveness, great distance and a great price. Last year you could buy these brand new and the price was ridiculous. I don't know if you can buy them brand new now because obviously there's two other versions after this now. If you can, again, they'll probably be even less or even a greater price, but on the second-hand market as well, they go cheap. So do keep your eye out for them if you want some game improvement irons. But I wanted to try the one length because I potentially got an issue with this. Now, if you do not know what Cobra one length is, basically the shafts are the same length throughout the set, which is a 7 iron, so a 37.25 inch long shaft. And this, when it comes down to the LTDx one length, it's all the way from a 4 iron all the way down to a sand wedge. So all the same length throughout the set. You can also pick up hybrids as well, one length, and also the driving irons. There you go. Nearly forgot the name of them there. The driving irons as well. So technically you can go from like a 2 hybrid all the way down to a sand wedge, all being the same length. With the idea that you can just be really consistent with your swing. You don't need to change it as the club increases length or decreases length. And that's the whole point of them. But because of that, I potentially have an issue with the longer clubs, because when the club gets longer, you've got better club head speed, and therefore that helps to increase the distance and also help to get that ball in the air as well when you're talking about stronger lofted clubs. I played the hybrid, to be fair. It was a 3 hybrid, and I actually played it as a 4 hybrid because of that club head speed, because of the 7 iron length, because I couldn't get it the same distance I would with a normal 3 hybrid. It worked pretty well as a 4 hybrid. Well, even though technically it was a 3 hybrid, playing it as a 4 hybrid worked pretty well. However, I still did have some issues with it, and I will tell you about those issues at the end of this video. So what I'm going to do, as always, we're going to have a closer look at this club. Then we're going to come back here, go through all the technologies in here. Spoiler alert, no different from the normal LTDx, but we'll still go through it. Then I'll get down to the driving range, throw some figures at you, and then come back here for the ACS Golf Scale, tell you what I think my findings are with this, and also I'll compare it to my actual 5 iron, so my Mizuno MP20 HMB, which is a player's distance iron. It's not a game improvement iron. Normally, a game improvement iron will definitely be a player's distance iron for distances because of the strong lofts. So I'll discuss that at the end as well. All right, now, as always, let's have a closer look at this club. So there you go. Exactly same looking as a normal LTDx, apart from obviously the writing one length and the yellow lines are now blue. We'll just point out, yes, this is a fitting club. I picked up a few to review for you guys, so do expect a few more Cobras coming your way over the next couple of weeks. Now let's get into technology, where the technology is exactly the same as a normal LTDx. They haven't changed it. The only thing they've changed is this, the length of the shaft. So power core technology, at Cobra they like to do things differently and better. That's why their engineers have developed this multi-layer weighting system consisting of a steel core bar that's suspended within a polymer injected casing. This creates more flexing in the body, sole and face, create more rebound for enhanced ball speed and performance. Fantastic, exactly what you want. Then they move on to a power shell face design. More golfers strive for more distance, and that's why Cobra Golf is continuing with their #1 performance attribute, power shell technology. So this is sort of the whole club here. The forged face cup in the LTDx creates more energy return, offering increased speed over a wider area of the face. Perfect. If you're using game improvement irons, odds on you're not going to be hitting around the center of the face, you're going to be hitting it all over the face, and you want it to still come out straight and still give you decent distance, and that is a good thing. We've got speed tuned weighting, so complete with an 8-gram toe weight screw that enhances stability and can be adjusted down to 2 grams and up to 14 grams to dial in swing weighting for custom builds. So there's a little bit of adjustability with this screw weight at the end there. Now moving on to one length concept. The set has been designed with a one length shaft design concept, fitted with the same weighting and length shaft as a 7 iron throughout the entire set to bring more consistency to your golf game. So there you go. A lot of technology in there. Their power core and their power shell, which is really good, to be fair. I really enjoyed it when I hit the normal LTDx iron. Big old chunky game improvement irons. I mean, look at that for a 5 iron. That is a big old chunky iron, which is what you want. You want a big chunky iron if you're looking at game improvement irons, because you want that confidence, that you're going to be able to hit the ball. If you miss a face, if you miss a face, then it's not going to go anywhere. But if you miss the center of the face, you're still going to get good distance and still going to get it in the air for you. So there it is. Okay, now let's get, before I get down to the range, actually, I need to mention the lofts of these clubs, because they are game improvement irons. And when it comes down to game improvement irons, they all tend to be very strong lofted to help maximize distance. However, with this iron as well, with the weighted bar in there, they do have a lower center of gravity to help get that ball up in the air. So unlike your sort of better player irons, which really sort of, helps more with sort of stopping power with the spin rates, with game improvement irons, they have the weighting at the bottom to help pop the ball into the air, and that's sort of the stopping distance. Because the lofts are so strong, you don't get as much spin, even though this does have a milled face as well, which is very nice. So go through the lofts. We've got 4 iron, which is 19 degrees, which in my mind is more of a 3 iron. 5 iron is 21.5 degrees. My 4 iron that's in my bag is hidden in my bag somewhere. It's under a driver. There you go. My crossover ping is actually 23 degrees, and that's a 4 iron. So the 5 iron is stronger than my 4 iron. 6 iron is 24 degrees. 7 iron is 26.5 degrees. That's really, really strong. Back in the day, a 7 iron was like really classic one, was around 34 degrees. So that is mental. 8 iron is 31 degrees. 9 iron is 36 degrees. Pitching wedge is 41.5 degrees. Gap wedge 47.5 degrees, and sand wedge 54 degrees. So you've got to be careful with these, because you could really have an issue with gapping at the end. So you could probably, to be fair, go from gap wedge up to 6 iron, and then maybe go for a different 4 iron. Maybe not bother with the 5 or the 4. That's definitely a decision to make if you're looking at these clubs. Okay, now let's get down to the range, throw some figures at you, and then we'll come back here for the ACS golf scale. All right, see you in a bit. So here I am down at the range. Now for me, with a 5 iron, I expect sort of normally about 180 yards total distance. However, this being a game improvement iron, I'd expect a little bit more than that. And looking into the figures, on average, I had a carry of 165 yards, a total distance of 180 yards, ball speed 121 miles per hour, launch angle 13, and height 60 feet. So distance is what I'd expect shortly for my normal 5 iron, which was quite a surprise for me. I'd expect it to be a little bit more than this. However, I'll discuss later why that might be the case, that it hasn't actually reached more. Longest on the day though was, carry of 169 yards, total distance 185 yards, ball speed 124 miles per hour. So that was a lot better. But with this club and this 7 iron as well, I just couldn't get this, basically the ball in the air. Launch angle 13 degrees is very low for a 5 iron for me. Max height as well, averaging out 60 feet, again, is very low. I just didn't find that I could get this ball in the air to really maximize the distance from this club. So there you go, and some interesting figures there, and exactly what I feared. This is definitely coming in shorter than a normal LTDx iron. Now, if I compare these two right now, so a normal length 5 iron, but remember this is a player's distance iron, it's not a game improvement iron. The loft of this is 25 degrees, so it's 3.5 degrees weaker than this. As I mentioned before with this, we had a total distance of 180 yards on average. With my normal 5 iron, we had a total distance of 179 yards, so 1 yard in it. And I know that the normal LTDx iron would go further than this. It really would. The normal LTDx iron, to be fair, probably be getting close to 200. So there you go. Ball speed 121 miles per hour, both exactly the same. Don't get me wrong, the longest was with the Cobra, 185 yards, but with this 5-iron, it was only 182 yards. Shortest was with the Cobra, actually. It must have been a horrendous hit of 173 yards, while with my Mizuno's 175 yards. But it doesn't just stop there, because of this launch angle, because, it is 21.5 degrees, I was only getting carry on average 165 yards. With this, I was getting 169 yards. The majority of them were over that 170 mark. So really, you're talking about probably an extra 6-7 yards extra carry. So better stopping distance with the Mizuno, which proves by the launch angle. Launch angle of this is 16 degrees, not 13. Height is 76 rather than 60. So definitely some issues with this one length club. You've got to be aware, if you're playing a normal 5-iron, if you're playing a normal 5-iron game improvement iron, and you put one of these in the bag, it's not going to go as far, unfortunately, and you're definitely not going to get the carry. So going into the ACS golf scale, so we've got distance, feel, looks, price, and forgiveness. It's a bit of a difficult one, really. If I go into distance, I know the 7-iron will be longer than these clubs. I know the 8-iron, the 9-iron, I know it's going to be longer because it's stronger lofted and the club lengths are the same. If obviously in the shorter clubs, these are actually longer. But when it comes down to longer irons, because of that club length and the club head speed being down, I just don't think I can get the same distance with, or I can't get the same distance as I would with a normal LTDx. So it's been a bit difficult to do the distance rating, really, because if it was normal, I give it 4.5 like I did the original LTDx. But if you're looking at the longer clubs, I'd give them the same distance rating as I would with the Mizuno HMBs. I'd give them that 3.5. So I've met it in the middle. I've gone for 4, okay? Because I think the 7-iron, 8-iron, they're going to have some really good distance with them. When you're starting to get to the 6, the 5, the 4, you really need to somehow increase the club head speed to maximize these. And it's really proven by the flight of this. It came out 13 degrees. I really struggled to get it in the air. For me, I'd have to really put a really quick basically swing on it. I have to increase my swing speed that I would for a normal 7-iron. And then you sort of go, well, hold on, if I need to increase my swing speed for a normal 7-iron, I'm not keeping my swing speed the same throughout the set, am I? And therefore, I'm not doing the same swing. So it's an interesting thought process there, to be honest, an interesting conclusion. But I've given it 4 out of 5 for distance because of the shorter clubs. And there is potential in here. If you do put a quicker swing on this, it is going to come out faster and it's going to go further distance. So I've given it 4 out of 5. Moving on to feel, 3.5 out of 5, exactly the same as the LTDx. I do like this forward face they've got. It does feel very nice, to be fair, especially out in the middle. If you're not hitting the middle, doesn't feel great, but it is a game improvement iron, so I wouldn't expect it to. Looks 3, a little bit chunky, but I do like the looks of the Cobra bag. I like the badge, even though it's a fake carbon fiber. It's generally just a good looking club. It is a very chunky looking club, but it's a great looking club. Forgiveness 4, exactly the same as the normal LTDx, as you'd expect. Price, I've given it a 4 as well. You can actually still buy these in the UK, actually in one length, so £399, about $550. eBay 4 to pitching wedge, you're looking about £360, about $450. 5 to gap wedge, £373, so $460. So the price is very good for what these are. So that's why I'm giving it 4 out of 5. If you're looking for game improvement irons, do look for the LTDx range. The value of them is really, really good for what they are. If you're going for one length as well, then again, the value of them is really good for what they are, but just be aware of it. Of the issues with it, which I will go into now. We've gone through the ACS golf scale and the issues that I have found with this 5-iron and being the same length as a 7-iron. So for me, as I've mentioned, distance, not quite there. It's not as far as the normal LTDx. And so you could end up getting maybe, the 7-iron could be a bit, well, more close to the 6-iron than normal. 6-iron might be a little bit closer to the 5-iron than normal. Well, maybe not the 6 and the 5, but definitely the 7 to the 6. Your top end of the bag could bunch up quite close to each other, when normally, your top end of the bag actually, really does sort of split. You basically have your bigger distances between your longer clubs, but in this case, it might actually be the opposite, which is an issue. Secondly, because it's a shorter shaft and they do actually make these more offset. So basically, the angle of the club changes, so the offset increases. So with the sand wedge, it's 0.5. Now go up to a 7-iron, it's 3.2, and then for 4-iron, it's 6.0 millimeters offset. So they're closing that club face up, which just for me causes issues again, because it just means you're putting exactly the same swing on it, but now the club face is more closed, and therefore it's going to shoot out more to the left. I don't really, why not just keep the offset the whole way, the same throughout the whole thing? You're eliminating the difficulty of hitting one of these clubs because it's the same length as a 7-iron. So you're not hitting a 5-iron length, so it's not, difficult to hit it anymore because it is the same length as a 7-iron, so it's easy to hit. So why have that offset there? Why increase the offset from 3.2 up to, well, 5.1, an extra 2 millimeters? Why do it? I just don't understand. And that's an issue I was finding with this. My normal shot is normally a draw, and I was finding with this club it was coming out even more to the left, too much to left, I'd say. And you can even see that in some of the figures, sorry, the figures, not the figures. You can even see that in some of the clips from the range. Some of the shots really did come out on the left. Being that more offset as well, it closes the club face, so therefore it decreases the loft even more because the club face is closed, and he's just not going to get it in the air. And that's another issue I had with it. I just couldn't get this in the air, so you can't maximize the distance. Launch angle 13 degrees. Don't get me wrong, I know it's 21.5 degrees loft, but the whole way that you set up game improvement irons is, even though the loft is a lot stronger, with the weighting and center of gravity to the bottom, it does tend to pick the ball up higher than, well, exactly the same, I'd say, than a weaker 5-iron. So the idea, you get the same ball flight because that's how you get your stopping distance. But with this, with the club length and the extra offset, I just couldn't get in the air. 13 degrees, average 60 feet. That is low. Low stingers. I'm sure if I really, really went for this, then I could get up in the air. But again, it makes it difficult. And that's what I found out with my hybrid. When I had this hybrid, even though it was 19 degrees, I treated it as a 4 hybrid. Unless I really, really went for it, so increase my club head speed over what my normal 7-iron would be, it would just come out low and hook to the left. If I increased up the speed, then it would come out in the air nicely and would go straight. But again, not as high as I would expect. So some real issues with one length clubs in my mind. Now, yes, they are good for consistency. If you're swinging the same throughout the set, then yes, you're going to hit the middle probably a lot more than normal. But I'm not a fan of them. I'm going to say it right now. I'm not a fan of them. Now, I think people who could really benefit from them, could get the most out of these clubs, are probably very fast swings. Well, people who swing the club very fast, like your Bryson DeChambres, who really, really can go for it. So they've got a really quick club head speed already for the 7-irons. They get that ball in the air, get the club head speed to get the ball in the air, even though it's only a 7-iron and it's only 21.5 degree loft. So someone who, is a high handicapper, is a mid handicapper, who needs that forgiveness, but, they swing the club very, very quickly, so they can really get that ball up into the air. I think for someone like me, who's I'd say more of an average swinger, really, drivers normally around 98 miles per hour, I just can't get it to work. I just cannot get it to work. Another maybe option is someone who does hit up on the ball quite a bit. I do not. I do hit down on it. If you hit up on it quite a bit, then yes, these could work for you because you're getting a better launch from them. So if you're slow swing speed, but you really do come up on the ball, these could work quite well, to be honest. you know, to give you that consistency to keep the swing speed the same throughout. But for me, no. Will I ever put a one length club in my bag? No, I can't work with the longer clubs. I just can't get the distance I want. I can't get the ball flight I want, unfortunately. Yes, the distance is exactly the same as a 5-iron, but it's not traveling as far for me. It's coming out to the left. You know, I'm going to be hitting the greens. I'd have to basically aim for the front of the green and let it roll on, which is just screaming trouble. Screaming bunker shots after bunker shots after bunker shots as it just goes in the fair, you know, in the side bunkers there. So not for me. Great club, the LTDx overall, but personally I think if you're looking at these, you know, do go for the normal LTDx model if you want game improvement irons, because they are great overall. You know, if you want to try the one length because you think it could benefit you, then do give it a go, but just be aware of the warnings that I've said in this video, because I think there are a few. So there you go. My review of the Cobra LTDx one length club. Cobra LTDx irons, great. One length club, not for me. Really have a think about it if you want to go down that route. So yeah, there you go. Now give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Let me know down below, to be fair, in the comments, do you play a one length club? You know, do you play the Cobra one lengths or the I think they did F8s, F9s. I know they do the Rad Speed one as well. Obviously they've done the Aerojet last year. They've got the Dark Speed one this year. You know, let me know if you play them, and if you do, you know, what do you think of them? You know, do you struggle with them, or would you, you know, or have you been struggling with your longer clubs like I've just mentioned right now that I struggled with this one? You know, let me know in the comments down below. And also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, guys, for weekly ACS golf reviews and the odd extra video as well. All right, I'll see you soon for the next ACS golf video. Bye-bye.